Alright, lesson 26C. We are going to continue with exponents. So on Friday we talked about power of a power. We're going to do the same thing today but with negatives. So let's just review what we've learned so far. Exponential form is when there's an exponent, like this. This is read as 3 to the 4th power. The big number is the base, and it's raised to the exponent. If I asked you to write it all out and show your work, this would be expanded product. And if I asked you to actually multiply it to find a final answer, to simplify, this would be evaluating. And then we talked about the huge difference between having negatives included and not included. So if it's outside the parentheses or if there's no parentheses, it's not repeated. If it is inside the parentheses, like the one in the red box, that is repeated. And if the exponent's even, it ends up all canceling out because negative times negative is positive. So, for example, this answer would be negative 25, and this answer would be positive 64. So far, so good? Okay, then exponential form, you're counting how many of the entire base there are. So this is a negative 2 in parentheses, so your answer should still have parentheses to the 4th power. Then we talked about reciprocals. 5 squared, reciprocal would be 1 over 5 squared. So 25 and 1 over 25. We did several examples in class. The fraction ones we didn't do a lot of, but we will start to do more of those. 3 over 2 cubed would be 3 over 2 times 3 over 2 times 3 over 2. And then the reciprocal of that would be 2 over 3, right? Times 2 over 3 times 2 over 3. Everyone okay with these? We're going to do a bunch of those today. Power of a power was Friday. So this is inside first. 9 times 9 times 9. And then that whole thing squared. So another 9 times 9 times 9. Which would be a total of 9 to the 6th power. Everyone okay with this? Because this is what we're doing today. Thumbs up? Okay, so first thing on your notes, let's just practice from Friday first. 3 to the 4th power, I want you to write it in expanded form because once I put negatives in there, it's going to get a little bit more complicated. So get those practice in. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, please do that on your paper. And then that whole group 3 times. So there's a total of 3 to the, please write out all of your work. Number 2 is also from Friday, so that is a negative 2 in parentheses cubed, and then that whole thing to the 5th. So that'll be negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. Then that whole thing 5 times. So tell me, is the base a 2 or a negative 2? Negative 2. It's a negative 2 that's being repeated every single time, right? So your base should still be a negative 2. In the original problem, negative 2 is in parentheses, and we want it to be a negative 2, not just one negative, right? Always a negative. So put it in parentheses for your final answer as well. Negative 2 in parentheses to the 15th power. Number 3 has a negative exponent. So we have 2 to the negative 3rd power. Negative 3rd means it's going to be the reciprocal, right? So it's going to be 1 over 2 times 2 times 2. And then that whole thing squared. So as your first step, I want you to write this. I dealt with the first exponent first. And the outside exponent, I'm going to leave it there for my first step. Go ahead and write it down. Then to finish showing your work, I'm going to take that whole thing and square it. So I'll have 1 over 2 to the 6. Make sure the 6 is only on the bottom because that's what is being represented here. 2 is being multiplied 6 times. So number 3, I flipped it once and then I multiplied it by that same thing again. So 1 over 2 to the 6. But number 4 has both exponents negative, which means the first time is going to flip. and I have 1 over 3 times 3. Your work is going to look like this. Leave that second exponent there because we didn't do it yet. Write it down. Then the cubed exponent, the negative cubed, means I'm going to flip it again and repeat it a total of for 3 groups. So now my final answer is just a 3 to the 6th power. The first exponent, negative squared, means I'm going to flip it, so it's 1 over 3 times 3. Then that whole thing to the negative 3rd power, which means I'm flipping it again and multiplying it for 3 more groups. 3 groups total. So 3 to the 6th. Any questions about 1 through 4? Okay, go ahead and do 5 and 6, and then stop there. I want to make sure you're doing it correctly. So 5, 5, 5, and I didn't use the negative 2 yet, so I'm going to leave it there. Or in my work here that I just showed you, I already flipped it. So twice of that would be 1 over 5 to the 6th. So before that I said this. Leave the negative 2 there if you didn't use it yet. And then do this. Okay? Who got number 5 right? Good. Make sure the 6 is only on the bottom because that represents that there's 6 5s, not 1s. Number 6, we have it flipping and then flipping again. So that's 1/4 to the negative 3rd power. So that's 1/4, and then I flip it again, which would just be 4. 4 times 4 times 4, which is 4 to the 3rd. Four times 4 times 4. Who got number 6 right? You didn't have to evaluate it. Awesome. Okay, the bottom 4, go ahead and do all 4 of those, and then we're going to shoulder partner those. Number 7 is 3 on the bottom repeating 24 times. Number 8, what is this? 21st. 1 over 4 to the 21st power. Excellent. Number 9. Ashley.
Would be 1 over negative 2 parentheses 15 power.
Like this? Who agrees with Ashley? Okay, who has a different answer? Abraham, what did you get? Like this?
No. What is raised to?
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay, who agrees with Abraham? Different answer? Go ahead. Lagging. There. Like this?
Yep.
Who agrees with Navreen? For this one, this 3rd one.
More people.
Good. The answer is 1 over negative 2 to the 15th. Because this 2 is repeating 3 times, but the negative stays there. That only repeats once. Then that's the whole thing repeating 5 times, but it flips. So it looks like this. We have negative 2 times 2 times 2. And then this whole thing is going to flip 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since there are negatives in each of those parentheses, if there's 5 negatives, are there any left over? There's 1 left over, right? So that's why our answer is still negative, but it's not in parentheses because that's not a negative 2. That is a positive 2 as our base with a negative outside, not being applied to the exponent. Yes? Number 10. Yes. Excellent. This one is in parentheses because it is the entire negative 5 as the base. Who got all 4 of these correct? Excellent. On the back of your notes, do 11 through 15. They are all mixed up. Be careful. Mind the parentheses. It matters where they are. Number 11 is parentheses negative 6 to the 6th power. Number 12, Moses. Excellent. This negative is not included in the exponent process, so that is negative 1. 13, Hunter. Just 1. Awesome. Because that's the entire base to the 0 power. It is in parentheses. Number 14, Zach.
1 over 64.
Excellent. 1 over 64. This negative exponent does not make it negative. It makes it a fraction. Number 15. Don't have to evaluate, just simplify. Negative 3 is not in parentheses, so this negative only repeats 5 times, not 10 times. And 5 times is still odd number, right? They don't all cancel out. There is 1 left over. So it's still negative. Negative 1/3 to the 10th power. The negative can be top or bottom or middle. Doesn't matter. As long as it's not in parentheses. Go ahead and do the second column. So number 16, it flips twice. The negative does not square, but it does repeat in the power of 6. So we have positive 3 to the 12th power. Not a fraction because it flipped twice. Number 17, volunteer. Yes, sir.
I got 1 over 16.
Positive or negative? Positive. So this will be positive 1/16. You are correct because we flip it and 4 negatives makes positive. Number 18 is almost exactly the same question as 17, but what's the difference here?
Negatives on the outside.
There is an extra negative on the outside, which does not do anything to the problem except that it changes it to negative. Because nothing happens to that negative. It's going to stay there in the entire process, all the way through to the answer.
It's like, it
Okay.
goes to the park.
Again, this negative on the outside, nothing happens to it because it is not involved in the squaring. So we just leave it there through all the work, all the way through to the answer. Negative 36. Last one. 1 over 2 to the 28th power, positive. Any questions about 1 through 20? So you just have to be really careful about where the parentheses are. And if the exponents are both negative, that means you're flipping it twice. All right, everyone okay? All right, what did you learn today? Ready? Share.